So Panasonic just released the S5 Mark II, which is around that same price point as the GH6. So in this video, I'm gonna give you guys 5 reasons why you should buy the GH6 instead of the S5 Mark II. The first reason is gonna be 4K 120 frames a second and 1080 240 frames a second, both in 10-bit. These are great slow motion options that the S5 doesn't have, or you have to use a variable frame rate and you're not gonna be getting as high quality 4K slow motion footage or 1080 slow motion footage that you get in the GH6. The second reason is the GH6 has no crop modes, sort of. Since there's a lot of different settings in the Panasonic S5 Mark II, sometimes you turn on a setting and you're gonna be getting an S35 instead of a full frame crop. So you have to play this little dance and know where it is gonna be getting cropped in and what's not gonna be cropped in. What's nice about shooting on a micro four thirds camera, it's just 2 times whatever the focal length is. Reason 3, GH6 is able to record Apple ProRes and record on an SSD through USB-C. And the S5 Mark II X will be able to shoot Apple ProRes through USB-C, but currently right now, the S5 Mark II is not able to shoot Apple ProRes through USB-C. Reason number 4 is the lens prices and the variety. Now, it's not a surprise when you are shooting on micro four thirds cameras, there is a ton of lenses at a way cheaper price. This is great if you are a wildlife photographer and you want to take out 100 to 300 mil or equivalent to 200 to 600 mil focal length. These lenses are way smaller, also way cheaper in comparison to when you're buying full frame lenses. And if you eventually want to get a speed booster and buy full frame lenses for the future, you can do that as well on micro four thirds systems. So there's a lot more variety and choices when you are purchasing your lenses. Now, before we go into the reason number 5, here's a couple honorable mentions. The lock lever is huge for me on the GH6. I tend to hit the back dial a bunch, which changes my shutter angle, and I don't like having that. So I can turn on the lock lever and customize it so everything else I'm able to touch and access except that one dial, and I can easily turn it off if ever I want to change my shutter angle. Next, the S5 Mark II doesn't have tally lamps on the front or the back. This is also really nice when you are recording specifically YouTube videos. Seeing a red tally lamp just above the lens is a great way to indicate you are still recording. The third and last honorable mention is the Flippy Screen. Not being able to flip it straight up on the S5 Mark II is kind of a little bit of a hassle when you have to have the monitor on the side instead of directly right on the center, being exactly aligned with your lens. Finally, the big reason number 5 is shooting anamorphic with a micro four thirds camera is much cheaper than full frame. Now, you might be asking, the GH6 and S5 Mark II cost the same price, but this kind of goes all the way back to lenses. You can get an anamorphic lens with the GH6 a lot cheaper because it's a micro four thirds camera versus getting a anamorphic lens for a full frame camera like the S5 Mark II, which will cost you a lot more money. But if you're not convinced about getting the GH6, I released another video talking about 5 reasons why you should get the S5 Mark II instead of the GH6.